Guten Tag, WAP. This is Mr. Liniger. Let's make history today as we go over Unit 5, Day 2. We're going to spend the next two videos going over the post-classical period. But let's get started with our daily punishment. One lung said to another, "We belong together." We belong together. We're going to talk about Western Europe today, China, Japan, and Islam, Middle East. So Western Europe, after the fall of Rome, because the Western Roman Empire fell, is going to be feudal. Remember, feudalism is a weak monarchy. The king shares power with the nobles. It's a system based on reciprocity. Like the king gives land to the nobles, they fight for the king. The nobles give land to the knights fight for the king. The knights offer protection to the peasants become serfs, and they basically give up their freedom and become tied to the land, but they're given protection. Also, Western Europe has memorialism. Memorialism is the economic system where it's a very localized economy, self-sufficient. There's not a lot of trade after Western Europe, after the Roman Empire falls. Charlemagne did try to reunite Western Europe, but after he died, his sons divided Western Europe into like three kingdoms. It became like the Holy Roman Empire, France, and kind of Lotharingia, which is kind of like Belgium and stuff. You're going to start to see kingdoms develop towards the end of the post-classical period. You'll have like England, William the Conqueror conquers it in 1066. You have France with the Capetian dynasty. Spain was originally controlled by the Muslims, but in this period, you're going to start to see the Spanish kingdoms uniting and kicking the Muslims out of Spain in the Reconquista. Germany is divided into different regions into small kingdoms. It's not one kingdom. They elect their emperor. It's the Holy Roman Emperor. You'll have some German city-states that will unite called the Hanseatic League. And you'll have independent city-states in Italy. They're probably the most wealthy in Western Europe. They traded with Islam for spices. They're also going to be exposed to Islamic culture and goods and technology. Italian city-states like Venice, Florence, Genoa. Religion during this time is going to be Roman Catholic. In Roman Catholicism, the Pope is the head of the church. The philosophy of this time was Scholasticism, where they try to combine Roman Catholicism with like Aristotle's belief, trying to like use rationalism to prove the existence of God. The most famous person is St. Thomas Aquinas for Scholasticism. We talked about memorialism during this time and feudalism. Some of the economic systems during this time, as you saw, inventions like swamp drainage, the three-field system where you do crop rotation to prevent the soil from being depleted, the nutrients in the soil from being depleted. You have stirrups being created for agriculture, new types of plows, windmills. There will be controversies with the Catholic Church during this time. There were some corrupt popes who did simony, who would appoint bishops for money. They had their own kids and stuff. There'll be some heresies of people that were speaking against the church that will be killed. Some of these people will be proto-Protestants who will have ideas that will later be used in the Protestant Reformation. John Huss, Wycliffe. One of the big conflicts during this time was between like the Pope and the Holy Roman Empire. The investiture controversy was how the Holy Roman Emperor was trying to appoint bishops. This upset the Pope. He's going to excommunicate the Holy Roman Emperor, Henry II. The emperor will eventually invade Italy, and like there will be controversy and conflict during this time. A lot of the popes wanted to have both political and religious power. In China during this time, we will have the Song dynasty. It's not as powerful as the Tang dynasty, but there'll be more social and economic improvements. They create things like flying credit, which is called flying money. It's paper money. They do a printing press. There's new shipping improvements during this time, like magnetic compass, junk ship, stuff like that. Gunpowder is created, which was not used for weapons as much. It was more used for entertainment. For social cultural beliefs, Confucianism is blended with Taoism and Buddhism. It creates a religion called Neo-Confucianism. Neo-Confucianism is pretty similar to Confucianism, except it does have religious aspects. The Chinese start practicing foot binding. It becomes more patriarchal in China. The Song dynasty is going to improve upon the Confucian bureaucracy. The Silk Road will be at its peak, but because the Song dynasty was not powerful, they're going to have to offer tribute to the nomads during this time. The Song dynasty uses the equal field system. One of the problems throughout Chinese history was the peasants rebelled, and the equal field system, what would happen was when a rich Chinese landowner died, it was supposed to divide the land up and give it to poorer peasants to prevent class rebellions. Towards the end of the Song dynasty, this became more corrupt and it will kind of fall apart. Buddhism will spread during the Tang dynasty. The Song dynasty will kind of, at first, Buddhism was supported by the Tang dynasty. The Song dynasty will, at the end, will kind of turn away from Buddhism. The Song dynasty will fall when the Mongols conquer it. And we'll talk about the Mongols next video. In Japan, their state religion was Shintoism, which is an animistic belief. Japan was influenced by China, Sinification. Their writing system was based off of Chinese. In Japan, you're going to see the rise of military clans, and you're going to see like a lot of warring between different military families. You're going to see centralized feudalism in Japan. You have the shogun, who was like a military dictator. Below him were the Japanese princes, the daimyos. Then you have the samurai and then the peasants. The emperor was kind of a figurehead. But no one family really keeps feudal power in Japan. That doesn't happen to the Tokugawa, which is next unit. Let's talk about Islam. We talked about the Rashidun period before. Those were the first 5 Orthodox caliphs. We talked about Muhammad and the 5 pillars and the Hijra. He conquered Arabia. The books of Islam were the Quran and the Hadith. That was all mentioned last class. Some of the people that are going to help spread Islam are going to be the Sufis. They were Islamic mystics. They'll spread Islam to Southeast Asia and South Asia. You'll get a new Islamic dynasty in South Asia, the Delhi of Sultanate, the Delhi of Sultanate, the Sultanate of Delhi, same thing. One of the things practiced in Islam was Sharia law. Sharia law were like what it means to be Muslim. It's like how you should live your life, how you cook your food, how you clean, what things you practice. Sharia law gets a bad rap nowadays, but back in the day, originally, Sharia law was really good for a Muslim. It gave you an identity. It showed you like what is a Muslim. We talked before about the Sunni and Shia split in the Umayyad dynasty. The Umayyad dynasty was not very centralized. It was more decentralized. The Arabs were really the ones that controlled it. They will expand to North Africa and Spain. They'll fight with the Persians and Byzantines. We talked about jizya before, the tax on the non-Muslims. The Abbasids are the next Muslim dynasty you should know. The Abbasids will be more of a centralized monarchy, a divine monarchy. We call it an absolute monarchy. A lot of the Abbasid wealth was based on their scientific and economic advancements. They were very wealthy. They had a lot of scientific advancements, math. They traded on major trade routes, the Silk Road, the Indian Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea. They borrowed some ideas from the Chinese, like the magnetic compass. They preserved Greek writing and Roman writing. After the Roman Empire fell, a lot of the Roman books were destroyed in Western Europe. The Muslims liked a lot of the Greek writing, especially Aristotle, so they retranslated Greek writing into Arabic. The Western Europeans will rediscover Greek writing from the Arabs and the Byzantines. That's going to be one of the things that leads to the Renaissance next unit. The Abbasids lasted a long time, but they will start to decline. They'll become more decentralized. You'll have the Mamelukes, who are like the slave soldiers. They'll start to gain more power. You'll have local governors start to appoint themselves as sultan. They claimed to still be loyal to the caliph of the Abbasids, but really they were doing their own thing. And in 1258, the Abbasids will officially collapse when the Mongols conquer and destroy Baghdad. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Until next time, deuces, deuces, deuces.